Testing 1, 2. All right. Good morning, guys. So I am back here. And so this one's called the roller coaster. Roller coaster. The roller coaster. And what I'm going to share you today, you may be in a place where maybe you feel like you're in a rut. Maybe you feel like you don't know what you want next. You don't have that vision, that clarity for what it is that you want to create in life. Don't feel like you're alone. What I'm going to share here is just kind of my own experience and some of the struggles that I'm going through and what I'm doing so that maybe one, you could realize that you're not alone in what you're feeling. And two, that it may give you just some resources and maybe just the courage to take new action. I feel like I've always been a very inward looking person. I'm a very extroverted. I have a very big personality at times. But there's a side to me that not a lot of people see, although they could probably read if they're looking at my face, that is really looking inward, always asking deeper questions, always analyzing what's going on around me. And I've been questioning a lot about my business, my life, the way I'm living my life. And a lot of this is, there's just a lot of different conflicts going on, right? Like expectations of society, expectations of my family, fears of stepping out and maybe missing certain things, right? I mean, parents getting older, nieces and nephews, all of these things are kind of layering on. And as a result of all these things just kind of stacking on top of one another, it had become difficult or I should say challenging to just kind of get the clarity of like, well, what is it that there's too many influences going on, like what do I want from my life, right? And not worrying about what I should do, what other people think I should do, what roles I have to play. What is it that I want from my life? There are moments of a very, very intense clarity. And just as many of those moments, if not more, are moments of confusion where I'm like, well, and I start to question and doubt the thing that I know in my heart is true. And even to the point where sometimes I don't even, like I might feel this like, oh, wow, this is what I want. And then moments later, it's almost like I didn't even have the thought because I can't even recall what it was. So this journey has inspired me to start looking deeper, to start getting more clarity on every aspect of my life in terms of like, what is it I want? What is it that, what are the things that are holding me back? What are the belief systems that are holding me back? What are the bad habits that are holding me back? And how can I create this image or this vision that's so powerful and so clear that it pulls me, right? Because when you have that, and we've all had it at some point in our lives, right? If you've done anything that you're proud of, you've had this vision pulling you. But how do you go there on purpose, right? Without saying, oh, just seeing something like, wow, that is, getting inspired and going for it. How do you choose? So I've been doing a bunch to think through, not necessarily think through this, because I think that when you try to think things through, like you're using the wrong part of your head to decide issues of the heart. So trying to think through it that's not even the correct language I want to use. To connect to my heart, to that deeper part of me, that true part of me that knows exactly what I want. And to do this, I've been doing, listening to a lot of podcasts. I have been diving deep into different coursework, all designed at getting clarity around what it is that I want for my life. Even doing journaling exercises. There was a podcast I listened to where it's about a woman who literally just talks about journaling and the prompts. one of the exercises I did today was like writing down the things you want, right? Because a lot of time you may say you want something, right? But why do you want it? What is the feeling you're going after? Sometimes those feelings can be artificial because they're just implanted by the media or the things you're taking, or maybe they're expectations by your family or your friends or your peer group. So it's important to be able to differentiate, right? Well, what is the influence here? What am I really after? And then what is my heart really after? And this goes to say that, well, maybe there's a better way of meeting your needs. Maybe there's a better way of you getting that feeling. I'll share one of the things was like, my desire for freedom. I mean, I'm I'm fairly anyone looking at me would be like, he looks pretty free, right? He travels a month at a time, but I come back home. I want to try something different. I want to live outside. And I hit blocks because of my business and how everything's really centered around me. And it's funny because as I'm talking here, I realize, well, all right, well, these are not really blocks because as I'm speaking this to you, it's just steps you need to learn and actions you need to take in order to free those aspects of it. But then there are aspects of my business where I'm like, well, yeah, I can do it, right? I can do a lot of things, right? I could do accounting. I don't enjoy it. I could look at my numbers. I could crunch my books, but it doesn't bring me joy. And I truly believe that life is meant to be everything. I mean, it's naive to think that every day is going to be filled with joy, in the sense that there's always going to be shit coming up, right? There, some you get in the car accident, you flat, whatever it is. There's always going to be something, right? But what you're doing, what you're consciously choosing to spend your time doing, you should enjoy and you should feel passionate about. That is a belief of mine. So there are a lot of things that literally I started doing, and it wasn't by conscious thought. It was because things, just started building on one another. Things just started going well. And I'm like, all right, wow, all right, this seems to be going really well. All right, keep doing this. Oh, and that seems to be really going well. Get a lot of good feedback. Oh, keep doing this. But I've known for some time that not everything is truly aligned with what I want to do, how I want to spend my time. It's not giving me the emotions that I want. And so where I'm looking at now is like, well, you could always twist things and be like, oh, well, how about if you look at it from this point of view, right? Oh, then, well, yeah, you could change your focus on it and still, and maybe try to find the emotion, the meaning within it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's aligned. You can make the process more enjoyable. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's aligned to what you should be doing. So just doing different things, trying to get clarity, even to the meditations I do morning and evening. Some days I do the meditations and it's like, boom. It's clear. I know exactly, like the image, I can feel it. I'm meditating and I just have this giant smile on my face. Other times I'm like, where the hell am I? My head is like spinning in circles, thinking about all the things that I don't want. But I guess if there's anything to learn from that, right? It's just to keep persevering, keep going, and not judging the practice. I think that's probably another problem is you judge where you are, right? I've judged where I am a lot. And that is not beneficial to you, right? It doesn't help you. And especially like the meditation thing I just mentioned. It reminds me of yoga practice. When I started doing yoga, like I'm not that flexible, right? I could pull muscles. I'm very lean. When it comes to doing yoga, there's something in the hips that's, my hips are like, you know what? We're comfortable here in this range. We'll stay here. And in doing the practice, I would be like, oh my God, well, why can't I do it like this? Look at this person. I'm looking at people doing handstands and balancing on their elbow. I'm like, why can't I do this? But there's comfort in knowing that everyone's abilities, everyone's bodies, you're different. But also that it takes time, that everyone is on their own journey. I mean, the person I'm comparing myself to during class, Well, I mean, not really comparing myself because I know they're very advanced. But God even only knows how long they've been doing it for. They've probably been doing it for like 20 years. And I was there for like maybe 6 months. It's silly. You were on your own journey. And so it's silly to compare yourself to someone else's journey, someone else starting at chapter 20 when you're at chapter 1. So, what I want to share with you, I guess, in coming on here is just to embrace the journey, right? It's not always easy. You're gonna step in shit sometimes. And, it's gonna get messy. But continue, persevere, keep going. That's what I do. That is, I once I start down a path, I feel like there is no turning back. Even with, like my coffee business, like I'm deciding now where I want to go with that, how it fits into the life I want to create. It may involve something very drastic, or it may be just modifying in a way. So this way it works for me. It gives me the things that I want. So I might as well close this out by asking you some questions. Like, what do you want? If you don't know, don't be afraid. Don't get nervous. Don't get anxious. But just let that question simmer. What do you really want? It might help to just write things down on a paper. And as you're writing the things down on the paper, doing a couple follow-up questions. Why do I want this? What feeling is it going to give me? And then following up with, what does my heart really want? Are there other ways to get this feeling, this thing that I want? Really, because really what we're after feelings. Is there another way to meet that need that may not involve something so drastic, but may be more in line with who you are? To give the example of the house, right? Like, oh, I want a giant house by the water, right? Well, why do you want that? Oh, you're one person. You're not even married. You don't have kids. Why do you want the giant mansion? Well, significance, right? Oh, because it'll make me feel like I've accomplished that. I'm successful. All right, well, why would you feel that? And then you start to break things down. But then, like, what does your heart want? My heart just wants a place, to be by the water, just living by the water, having my own place, being independent, and, having room for whatever. Like, where I'm going is try to understand, like, what are your real desires? And what are the desires that are being planted there from society, from your family, from your religious upbringing? Because that's the only place that you're going to find the truth. That it's like written somewhere inside your soul, your heart. But you have to uncover. It takes work. You got to do the work to uncover what it is that you really want. And it's this constant, not only this constant inquiry, but once you find it, it's this constant reminder to look there, because otherwise your vision's always trying to get pulled somewhere. When you have that focal point, fixing yourself in that focal point, and when you see, I saw this great post by, I'm forgetting the name. Anyways, when you have that vision, right? When you have that end goal, there are many ways in which you can get there. As long as you don't give up, there are many ways in which you can get there. I guess I do have some clarity on what it is that I want. And all of a sudden now, as long as you just keep on going, you keep running the marathon, you keep going on that journey, you'll find a way. I'll give you one last little tidbit, and hopefully this will help you. When I was, in my coffee business, doing cold room espresso, doing just espresso. Let's just talk about espresso. So my journey in espresso started really with this, this overwhelm and angst about the espresso not coming out right? Like I'm doing all the things. What the fuck is going on? Like why can't I get a great shot? So it came from this place of like frustration. And as a result of that frustration, all of a sudden it led me down a journey looking to learn even more and to hone my skills. And even like recently, there was a time where I thought I knew everything. I got my espresso sommelier certification, and I'm like, I know it all. And I realized that when you think you know it all, you really don't know anything, because you close yourself off to learning new things. Somewhere in like the last few years, I got my certification there, I think in 2017. 2017. Then all of a sudden, I don't recall exactly when. Maybe it'll pop up to me as I'm speaking about it. Yeah, I remember. But just like playing around with different temperatures, ratio, I just started playing around more and having fun with it. And all of a sudden, like, poof, like my mind was opened up, and I realized that there was so much more that I could learn. I think it came from like a conversation with a friend, my friend Ryan. And I realized, like, oh my God, and I would just get these epiphanies. And then to start talking to new people. And then the more I went down that road, the more I realized that there was more for me to learn, and the journey just keeps going and going. I mean, just in the last month, my espresso knowledge has grown drastically. From a trip I went to Italy, and it always compounds because I'm on the journey, and because I don't give up. I mean, believe me, there's been many times where I've wanted to give up, right? There's been many times when let me just sell this damn machine. But I keep going because there's something deeper inside me that's saying, no, keep going. And I also have a hard head, or I can't remember to say, like testa dura in Italian, meaning you have a hard head. You don't know when to quit. You don't know when to give up, which is a good thing. Because by staying with it, like me traveling to Italy, me seeing all of a sudden, every time I learn something, it's like being equipped with new eyes, or like one of those little like night vision goggles. All of a sudden, you start to see things clearly, and you start to see things that you couldn't see before. Same thing is with my cold Roman espresso. Like I started like being very detailed and looking into my process. So with such, like running it through with a comb. And as a result, I learned even more about my process, and being tired of like the brewing process of it, because it takes a lot of energy out of me, to be honest with you. Like when I'm brewing it, I get feedback of the people love it. I'm usually brewing it, I'm alone doing it. And when I am done brewing it, like my body's like all like tweaked and stuff like that, because I'm constantly moving big things, like the boxes are heavy. And it takes, a while, I guess, a threshold to be crossed, where all of a sudden you're like, something's got to change. Something has to be done differently. And all of a sudden now your eyes open up and you start to look for new answers. So in closing, I don't know where you are on that journey. I don't know what you're feeling, but I would assume that we are not that different, that you're probably looking for some kind of clarity, that you believe that you want to enjoy your life. You want to have great experiences. You want to feel fulfilled at the end of the day. So we are the same there. I encourage you to really, really just check in with your heart. Your mind's going to want you to quit and do all these other things, but check into your heart. See what your heart is calling you to do. There are matters of the mind. There are matters of the heart. Matters of the mind say, oh, let me figure how to do this espresso, and you're looking at it. The heart is that compass that will literally point you in the direction you want to go. If you listen to some of the prior podcasts, the easiest way to follow that is through your emotions. Getting inside your body, quieting your mind, getting inside your body, and just noticing, where do you feel the emotion? What is your body wisdom telling you? Listen to it. It has your best interest in mind. So I hope this in some way was beneficial to your life. At the very least, to know that you have someone rooting for you, and that I want you to keep going. If you enjoyed this podcast, please consider subscribing. Hit that subscribe button. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Right? Maybe someone, they're feeling stuck and they just feel like they can't go on. Hopefully this will inspire them to just keep on that journey, because it does get better. Yeah, I've been through this many times, and I notice every time there is a winter, right around the corner is a spring and summer. It's very cyclical. If you'd like to subscribe, comment, or ask a question, you can visit my website at www.donnierouse.com. Again, www.donnierouse.com. There you can subscribe for the mailing list. And when I do my One Life course, where it's all about getting the life clarity and vision, you will be the first to know. So guys, remember, you only get one life. Live it. God bless, and I will see you again soon.